Elena Rodriguez adjusted her reading glasses for the third time in 10 minutes as she stared at the computer screen displaying Sebastian Knight's schedule. The golden afternoon light streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Knight Industries cast a warm glow. Across her mahogany desk on the 45th floor, at 25. Elena had mastered the art of appearing completely absorbed in her work, while secretly stealing glances at the man who had unknowingly captured her heart. Sebastian Knight stood in his glass-walled office, speaking animatedly on a conference call with investors from Tokyo, even from her position outside his office. Elena could see the way his dark hair caught the light, how his tailored charcoal suit fit his tall frame perfectly, and the intense concentration that marked his features when he was negotiating million-dollar deals. She had been his personal secretary for 2 years, and in all that time, she had never once allowed herself to believe that a man like Sebastian would notice someone like her, the daughter of a hardworking seamstress and a construction foreman from Queens. Elena had earned her business degree through night classes while working days at a small accounting firm. When the position at Knight Industries opened, she had applied on a whim, never expecting to be selected from thousands of applicants. Yet here she was, trusted with the most intimate details of Sebastian Knight's professional life, organizing his world with quiet efficiency while nursing feelings she was certain would never be returned. Sebastian's voice carried through the glass as he wrapped up his call. Elena quickly returned her attention to her computer, her fingers dancing across the keyboard as she updated his travel arrangements for the following week. She had learned to read his moods through subtle signs, the way he loosened his tie when frustrated, how he drummed his fingers against his thigh when deep in thought, the barely perceptible smile that touched his lips when a deal went better than expected. The elevator chimed softly, and Elena looked up to see Rebecca Vale stepping onto the executive floor. Rebecca moved with the confidence of someone who had never questioned her place in the world. Her platinum blonde hair styled in perfect waves, her designer dress probably costing more than Elena's monthly rent. As Sebastian's former girlfriend and current business partner in several ventures, Rebecca had every right to be here. But her presence always made Elena's stomach tighten with a mixture of anxiety and something she refused to acknowledge as jealousy. "Elena, darling," Rebecca's voice carried the practiced warmth of someone who had learned to charm as a survival skill. "Is Sebastian available? I have some exciting news about the Melbourne project." Elena checked Sebastian's calendar, though she already knew he had blocked out the next hour for reviewing quarterly reports. "He's finishing up a call with the Tokyo investors, but he should be free in about 10 minutes. Would you like me to let him know you're here?" Rebecca waved a manicured hand dismissively. "No need, sweetie. I'll just wait in his office. We're old friends, after all." Elena watched Rebecca glide into Sebastian's office, settling herself comfortably in the leather chair across from his desk. Through the glass, she could see Sebastian's expression change when he noticed Rebecca, a polite mask sliding into place that Elena had learned to recognize. It was the same expression he wore during board meetings with people he tolerated rather than trusted. As Sebastian ended his call and turned his attention to Rebecca, Elena tried to focus on her work, but she couldn't help noticing the way Rebecca leaned forward when she spoke, how she touched Sebastian's arm to emphasize her points, the intimate way she laughed at something he said. Elena's chest tightened with an emotion she had spent 2 years trying to suppress. She never been the type of woman who commanded attention in crowded rooms. Where Rebecca was bold and confident, Elena was thoughtful and reserved. Where Rebecca wore her beauty like armor, Elena had always felt most comfortable blending into the background. Her mother had often told her that still waters run deep, but Elena sometimes wondered if being deep mattered when no one bothered to look beneath the surface. The phone on Elena's desk rang, interrupting her thoughts. "Knight Industries, Sebastian Knight's office," she answered in her professional voice. "Elena, it's Sophia," came her best friend's familiar voice. "How's your day going? Still pining over your unavailable boss?" Elena glanced around to make sure no one could overhear. "Sophia, I'm at work," she whispered into the phone. "I know, but I can hear it in your voice. That same dreamy, hopeless tone you get whenever you talk about him. Elena, honey, you need to either tell him how you feel or find someone who's actually available." Through the glass wall, Elena watched Rebecca place her hand over Sebastian's, her body language intimate and familiar. "He's not available anyway," Elena murmured. "Rebecca's here, and they're clearly working on getting back together. Rebecca the Ice Queen?" "Elena, That woman is about as warm as a Manhattan winter. Just because she shows up at his office doesn't mean they're reconciling. Alina wanted to believe Sophia. The evidence seemed clear. Rebecca's frequent visits, their shared business interests, the way Sebastian's expression softened slightly when he looked at her. "I have to go," Alina said quietly. "I'll call you later." As she hung up, Sebastian's office door opened, and Rebecca emerged, her face glowing with satisfaction. She paused at Alina's desk, her smile sharp and knowing. "Alina, would you be a dear and clear Sebastian's schedule for Friday evening? We're having dinner to discuss our new partnership. Something very exciting is developing between us." Alina's heart sank, but she maintained her professional composure. "Of course, Ms. Vale. I'll make the necessary adjustments." After Rebecca left, Lasoni emerged from his office, loosening his tie in the gesture Alina had come to recognize as frustration. He paused at her desk, and for a moment, their eyes met. Alina felt her breath catch at the intensity of his gaze. The way he seemed to be studying her face, as if seeing her for the first time. "Alina," he said, his voice softer than usual. "Thank you for handling Rebecca's request. I know she can be demanding. It's no trouble, Mr. Knight. It's what you pay me for." Sebastian frowned slightly, as if her formal response disappointed him. "Right, of course." He started to turn back toward his office, then stopped. "Alina, have you eaten lunch yet?" The question caught her off guard. In 2 years, Sebastian had never asked about her personal needs beyond work requirements. "I was planning to grab something from the cafeteria later. The food there is terrible," Sebastian said with a slight smile that made Alina's heart race. "There's a small Italian place around the corner that makes incredible sandwiches. Would you like me to have something delivered for you?" Alina stared at him, certain she had misheard. "That's very kind, but you don't need to worry about my lunch." "Maybe I want to," Sebastian said quietly, his eyes holding hers for a moment that stretched between them like a bridge neither was quite ready to cross. Before Alina could respond, the elevator chimed again, and a group of board members stepped onto the floor for Sebastian's next meeting. The moment shattered, and Sebastian straightened, his professional mask sliding back into place. "Think about it," he said, then turned to greet his colleagues with the confident authority that had built his empire. Alina sat at her desk, her heart pounding, replaying those 4 simple words. Maybe I want to. Was it possible that Sebastian Knight, the man who could have anyone he wanted, had noticed her after all? Or was she reading meaning into kindness, hope into simple politeness? As the afternoon wore on, Alina found herself stealing even more glances at Sebastian through his office glass. During his meeting, she noticed how he listened intently to each speaker, how he asked thoughtful questions, how he treated everyone with respect regardless of their position in the company hierarchy. These were the qualities that had first drawn her to him. Long before she had allowed herself to acknowledge the deeper feelings that had grown in quiet moments like these. When 5 o'clock arrived, most of the office had emptied, but Alina remained at her desk, finishing the quarterly expense reports that Sebastian would need first thing Monday morning. She was so absorbed in her work that she didn't notice Sebastian approaching until he cleared his throat softly. "Alina? It's past 5. You should go home." She looked up to find him standing beside her desk, his jacket draped over his arm. His tie loosened in a way that made him look younger, more approachable. "I just wanted to finish these reports for Monday. They can wait." "You work too hard as it is." Sebastian perched on the edge of her desk, a casual gesture that brought him close enough for Alina to catch the subtle scent of his cologne. "Do you have plans tonight?" Alina's mind raced. Was he asking her out? Was this the moment she had dreamed about for 2 years? "No special plans," she managed. "Good," Sebastian said, his smile warming his gray eyes, "because I was hoping you might stay a little longer. There's something I'd like to discuss with you," as the office grew quiet around them. Alina felt as if she stood on the edge of a precipice, about to discover whether Sebastian Knight saw her as just his efficient secretary, or as the woman who had fallen hopelessly in love with him while organizing his world from the shadows. The silence that settled over the empty office felt different from the usual in Doveday quiet. Alina could hear the distant hum of traffic 45 floors below, the soft whisper of the climate control system, and most prominently, the rapid beating of her own heart. Sebastian remained perched on the edge of her desk, his presence both comforting and overwhelming in the intimate space that had formed around them. "Alina," Sebastian began, his voice carrying a vulnerability she had never heard before. "I need to apologize for something that happened earlier." Elena's stomach tightened. Was he about to apologize for showing interest in her lunch? For the moment when their eyes had met and something electric had passed between them. "You don't need to apologize for anything, Mr. Knight, Sebastian," he corrected gently. "When we're alone like this, I'd prefer you call me Sebastian." The simple request sent warmth spreading through Elena's chest. "Sebastian?" she repeated, testing the feel of his name on her lips without the formal barrier of his title. "That's better," he said, his smile genuine and soft. "What I wanted to apologize for is Rebecca. The way she spoke to you earlier, asking you to clear my schedule like you're her personal assistant rather than mine. It wasn't appropriate, and I should have said something immediately." Alina felt a mixture of relief and confusion. She was just being efficient about your dinner plans. "I understand that your business relationship with her requires flexibility." Sebastian's expression darkened slightly. "Alina, there are no dinner plans with Rebecca on Friday. There's no romantic rekindling happening. Rebecca and I ended our relationship 2 years ago for very good reasons, and those reasons haven't changed." The revelation hit Alina like a physical force. "But she said something exciting was developing between you." "Yes, a business deal that I'm not particularly enthusiastic about," Sebastian said with a dry laugh. "Rebecca has a way of making everything sound more intimate than it actually is. It's one of the reasons we didn't work out. She never could distinguish between genuine connection and strategic positioning." Alina stared at him, trying to process this information. For weeks, she had tortured herself imagining Sebastian and Rebecca reconciling, had convinced herself that her feelings were not only unrequited, but also inappropriate given his supposed relationship status. "You look surprised," Sebastian observed, studying her face with an intensity that made her feel exposed and cherished at the same time. "I just assumed," Alina began, then stopped, realizing how foolish her assumptions had been. "I guess I read too much into her frequent visits, Rebecca. Visits frequently because she's trying to convince me to invest in a property development project in Australia. She's also hoping I'll change my mind about our personal relationship. But that's not going to happen." Sebastian paused, his gray eyes searching Elena's face. "The question is, why does it matter to you whether Rebecca and I are together?" The question hung in the air between them, loaded with possibility and danger. Alina felt as if she stood at a crossroads, knowing that her answer would change everything between them one way or another. She could deflect, claim professional concern, maintain the safe distance she had carefully constructed over the past 2 years. Or she could be brave enough to tell the truth. "It matters," she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper, "because I care about you. More than I should. More than is probably appropriate for someone in my position." Sebastian's expression shifted, something warm and wondering filling his eyes. "Alina, look at me." She met his gaze, feeling vulnerable but refusing to hide any longer. "Your position as my secretary doesn't make your feelings inappropriate. What would make them inappropriate is if they weren't mutual." Sebastian reached out, gently touching her hand where it rested on her desk. "And they are very much mutual." Elena's breath caught. The simple touch of his fingers against hers sent electricity shooting up her arm. "They are. Alina, I've been watching you for months, trying to figure out how to bridge the professional distance between us without making you uncomfortable. You're intelligent, kind, and beautiful in a way that has nothing to do with designer clothes or perfect makeup. You remember the names of the cleaning staff's children? You always say good morning to the security guards. You brought homemade soup to work when Thomas in accounting was sick, and you thought no one noticed." Alina felt tears prick her eyes. "You noticed all of that?" "I notice everything about you," Sebastian said softly. "The way you bite your lip when you're concentrating. How you take the stairs instead of the elevator whenever you can. The fact that you keep a small succulent plant on your desk that you water with leftover coffee because you're convinced you can't keep anything alive, but you're determined to try." Alina laughed, a sound somewhere between joy and disbelief. "You notice my plant? I notice how you talk to it when you think no one's listening. I notice how you smile when it grows a new leaf. I notice that you're the kind of person who finds wonder in small things." And Alina, "That's rarer than you know." The office around them seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them in this bubble of honesty and possibility. Alina felt as if she were seeing Sebastian clearly for the first time. Not as the intimidating CEO who commanded boardrooms, but as a man who paid attention to the details that revealed her heart. Sebastian, she said, his name feeling more natural each time she spoke it. I've been so afraid that you saw me as just another employee. Someone efficient, but ultimately forgettable. Forgettable. Sebastian laughed, a rich sound that transformed his entire face. Alina, you're the most unforgettable person I've ever met. Do you know that I started finding excuses to walk past your desk just to see your smile? That I began looking forward to Monday mornings because it meant I'd get to see you again. Alina felt as if her heart might burst from the joy expanding in her chest. Really? Really. In fact, Sebastian stood up, extending his hand to her. I have a confession to make. Do you remember last month when I had you cancel my dinner meeting with the Morrison Group? Alina took his hand, allowing him to help her to her feet. You said you had a family emergency, I lied. I saw you trying to eat a sad desk salad for the third day in a row because you'd been working through lunch to help me prepare for the quarterly board meeting. I canceled my dinner so I could order food for the entire office. But really, I just wanted to make sure you had a proper meal. Alina stared at him, overwhelmed by this revelation. You canceled $1 million meeting because you were worried about my lunch. The Morrison deal could wait. Your well-being couldn't. Sebastian's thumb traced gently across her knuckles. Alina, I've built my entire career on making calculated decisions, but everything about how I feel for you defies calculation. You make me want to be impulsive. You make me want to prioritize things I've never cared about before. Like what? Alina asked, mesmerized by the tender way he was looking at her. Like making sure you smile every day. Like learning what makes you laugh. Like discovering whether you'd let me take you to dinner, somewhere that isn't a business meeting or a corporate obligation. Sebastian paused, his confidence wavering slightly. Alina, would you have dinner with me? Not as my secretary, not for business, but as the woman who has somehow become the most important part of my day. Alina felt tears of happiness threatening to spill over. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I would love that. Sebastian's smile was radiant, transforming him from the serious businessman she thought she knew into someone younger, more open, more real. There's a small French bistro about 20 minutes from here. Nothing fancy, but the food is incredible, and it's quiet enough that we can actually talk. Would you like to go now? Alina glanced around the empty office. At the computer still glowing with unfinished reports, at the organized chaos of her daily responsibilities. For 2 years, she had prioritized work above everything else, had made herself indispensable by being available at all hours. But looking into Sebastian's hopeful gray eyes, she realized that some things were more important than quarterly reports. I'd love to, she said, reaching for her purse. But Sebastian, I need you to know something. I'm not very experienced with relationships. I've spent so much time focusing on my career that I haven't really dated much. Sebastian's expression gentled. Alina, we don't have to rush anything. We can take this as slowly as you want. I'm not going anywhere. As they walked toward the elevator together, Alina felt as if she were floating. The man she had admired from afar for 2 years was not only available, but interested in her. Genuinely interested in who she was beneath her professional facade. Sebastian, she said, as they waited for the elevator. Oh, can I ask you something? Anything. What changed today? What made you finally say something? Sebastian was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. This morning, when Rebecca was in my office making assumptions about my personal life and my schedule, I realized I was tired of other people telling my story. And when I saw how you handled her demands with such grace and professionalism, even though I could see it hurt you, I knew I couldn't let another day pass without telling you how I really feel. The elevator arrived. And as they stepped inside, Alina caught their reflection in the polished steel doors. They looked right together, she realized. Natural, like two people who belonged in each other's lives. Alina, Sebastian said as the elevator began its descent. I want you to know that whatever happens between us, your job is secure. Your position at Night Industries has nothing to do with my personal feelings for you. You earned that job through your own merit, and that won't change regardless of whether you want to explore this connection between us. Alina felt a weight she hadn't realized she was carrying lift from her shoulders. Thank you for saying that. It means more than you know. As they reached the ground floor and stepped out into the bustling lobby, Alina realized that her life was about to change in ways she had never dared to imagine. The quiet, careful existence she had built was giving way to something uncertain, but filled with possibility. Sebastian offered her his arm as they walked toward the street, and Alina took it, feeling the solid strength of him beneath her fingers. For the first time in her adult life, she was stepping into the unknown with someone who saw her, truly saw her, and wanted to discover more. The evening air was crisp and filled with the energy of a city that never slept. But Alina felt as if she and Sebastian existed in their own private world, where anything was possible and love could bloom in the most unexpected places. 3. Weeks had passed since Alina and Sebastian's first dinner at the small French bistro, and their relationship had blossomed with the natural ease of two people who had been unconsciously preparing for each other for years. Alina found herself arriving at work each morning with a lightness in her step that hadn't been there before, greeting Sebastian with a smile that was no longer carefully guarded but openly warm and affectionate. They had been discreet at the office, maintaining their professional boundaries while sharing secret glances and brief touches when no one was looking. Their evenings, however, belonged entirely to them. Sebastian had introduced Alina to parts of the city she had never explored, taking her to small jazz clubs in Greenwich Village, art galleries in Chelsea, and quiet bookshops where they could browse together for hours. In return, Alina had shown him the Brooklyn of her childhood, sharing her favorite coffee shop where the owner still remembered her by name, and the small park where she used to read on summer afternoons. Alina was organizing Sebastian's schedule for the following week when Sophia burst through the elevator doors, her face flushed with excitement and concern. Alina looked up in surprise, checking her watch to confirm it was only 10 in the morning. "Sophia, what are you doing here? Don't you have classes today?" Sophia hurried to Alina's desk, clutching her phone with white knuckles. "Alina, we need to talk. Privately. Is there somewhere we can go?" Alina glanced toward Sebastian's office, where he was reviewing contracts with his legal team. The conference room on 38 should be empty. "What's wrong? You look terrified." They took the elevator down to the smaller conference room, and Sophia immediately pulled out her phone, opening a gossip website that Alina had never heard of. "Alina, I'm so sorry to be the one to show you this, but you need to see it before Sebastian does." Alina's stomach dropped as she read the headline. Billionaire CEO Sebastian Knight's secret office romance exposed. Below it were several photographs that made her blood run cold. Pictures of her and Sebastian leaving the office together, sitting close at dinner, walking hand in hand through Brooklyn Bridge Park. The article painted their relationship as a scandalous affair between a powerful CEO and his naive young secretary. "How did they get these photos?" Alina whispered, scrolling through the invasive images. "That's not the worst part," Sophia said grimly. "Look at this quote." Alina read the highlighted text and felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Rebecca Vale, identified as Sebastian's former business partner and close friend, had given an exclusive interview. "I've known Sebastian for years and I've seen this pattern before," Rebecca was quoted as saying. "He has a tendency to become involved with young women who work for him. It's a power dynamic that makes me very uncomfortable. I worry about this poor girl who clearly has no idea what she's gotten herself into." Alina stared at the words, feeling sick. "She's making it sound like Sebastian preys on his employees, like I'm some kind of victim who doesn't know my own mind." "There's more," Sophia said reluctantly. "She also mentions that you come from a working-class background and suggests that you might be motivated by financial security rather than genuine feelings." Alina's hands began to shake as she read Rebecca's carefully worded implications. Every statement was technically not libelous, but together they painted a picture of Sebastian as manipulative and Alina as either naive or opportunistic. The article had been published that morning and was already being shared across social media platforms. "Alina, Sophia said gently. "You need to tell Sebastian about this before he finds out from someone else." Alina nodded numbly. Knowing Sophia was right, but dreading the conversation, she and Sebastian had been so happy, so careful to keep their relationship separate from office politics. Now Rebecca had dragged their private feelings into the public spotlight. Twisting them into something ugly and suspicious, they returned to the executive floor, where Alina could see that Sebastian's meeting had ended. She knocked softly on his office door. and he looked up with the warm smile that had become her favorite sight in the world. Elena, perfect timing. I was just thinking about lunch. There's a new sushi place that opened near the park, and I thought we could... He stopped, noticing her expression. What's wrong? Elena closed the door behind her and handed him Sophia's phone without a word. She watched his face change as he read, his jaw tightening with each paragraph. When he finished, he set the phone down carefully and looked at her with eyes full of regret and anger. Elena, I'm so sorry. I should have anticipated that Rebecca might do something like this. You couldn't have known, Elena said, though her voice sounded weak even to her own ears. I should have protected you better, Sebastian said, standing up and moving toward her. I should have been more careful about where we went, more aware of who might be watching. Elena felt tears threatening to spill over. Sebastian, what does this mean for us? For your company? I can't be responsible for damaging your reputation. Sebastian reached for her hands, holding them firmly in his own. Elena, listen to me very carefully. This changes nothing between us. Nothing. Rebecca's jealousy and manipulation don't define our relationship or determine our future. But what if people believe her? What if they think you're taking advantage of me, or that I'm only with you for money? Then they don't know us, Sebastian said simply. Elena, I love you. I'm in love with you. Not because you're my secretary, not because you're convenient, but because you're the most genuine, caring, intelligent woman I've ever met. And if the whole world doesn't understand that, it's their problem, not ours. Elena's breath caught. It was the first time either of them had used the word love, and hearing it now in the midst of this crisis felt both perfect and terrifying. You love me? I love you, Sebastian repeated, his voice steady and sure. I've loved you for weeks, maybe months. I just wasn't brave enough to say it until now. Elena felt the tears she had been holding back finally spill over. But they were tears of relief and joy rather than sadness. I love you too, Sebastian. So much that it scares me sometimes. Sebastian pulled her into his arms, holding her close against his chest. Then we'll face this together. We'll get through it together. Before Elena could respond, there was a sharp knock on Sebastian's office door. Cordelia's voice came through the glass. Mr. Knight, you have a call from the Wall Street Journal. They're asking for a comment about the article. Sebastian's expression hardened. Elena, I need to handle this, but I want you to know that whatever I say to the press, it will be the truth. I won't hide our relationship and I won't apologize for loving you. Elena nodded, wiping her tears away. What should I do? Go home, Sebastian said firmly. Take the rest of the day off. I'll deal with the reporters and the phone calls. We'll talk tonight and we'll figure out our next step together. Elena started to protest. But Sebastian cut her off gently. Elena, this isn't about you not being strong enough to handle this. It's about me protecting the woman I love while I clean up the mess that my past relationship has created. That evening, Elena sat in her small Brooklyn apartment, watching the news coverage of their relationship on 3 different channels. Sebastian had given a brief but powerful statement to the press, confirming their relationship and firmly rejecting any suggestion that it was inappropriate or exploitative. Elena Rodriguez is a brilliant, accomplished woman who earned her position through merit and hard work, he had said, looking directly into the cameras. Our relationship developed naturally over time based on mutual respect and genuine affection. I won't allow anyone to diminish her character or question her integrity for the sake of sensational gossip. Elena's phone had been ringing constantly with calls from reporters, but she had ignored them all. Instead, she had spent the afternoon with her parents, explaining the situation and preparing them for the media attention that might come their way. Her mother had listened quietly, then taken Elena's hands in her own. Mia, do you love this man? Yes, Mama, more than I ever thought possible. And does he treat you with respect? Does he make you happy? Elena thought about Sebastian's tenderness, his thoughtfulness, the way he listened to her dreams and supported her ambitions. Yes, he does. Then the rest is just noise, her mother had said firmly. People will always have opinions about your life, but only you can decide what makes you happy. Now, sitting alone in her apartment as darkness fell over the city, Elena felt her phone buzz with a text from Sebastian. Looking at your building from the street? May I come up? Elena smiled for the first time all day and texted back, "Always." When she opened her apartment door, Sebastian stood in the hallway holding a bouquet of sunflowers and looking exhausted but determined. "I know today has been terrible," he said, "but I needed to see you. I needed to make sure you're okay." Elena pulled him inside, wrapping her arms around him and breathing in the familiar scent of his cologne. "I'm okay," she said. "We're okay, Elena," Sebastian said, pulling back to look at her face. "I've been thinking about this all day and I have something important to ask you." Elena's heart began to race, wondering what new crisis they would need to face together. "Move in with me," Sebastian said simply. "I know it's fast. I know it will cause more gossip, but, Elena, I don't want to spend another night wondering if you're okay, if you're safe, if you're happy. I want to wake up next to you every morning and fall asleep holding you every night." Elena stared at him, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what he was asking. Moving in together would make their relationship undeniably public, would invite even more scrutiny and criticism. But looking into Sebastian's eyes, she saw her future reflected there. A future filled with love and laughter and the kind of partnership she had always dreamed, but never quite believed she deserved. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll move in with you." Sebastian's smile was radiant as he lifted her off her feet, spinning her around in the small space of her apartment. "Really? You're sure?" "I'm sure," Elena laughed, feeling lighter than she had all day. "Sebastian, whatever comes next, whatever Rebecca tries to do, whatever the newspapers say about us, I want to face it all with you." As Sebastian set her down and kissed her with all the passion and promise of their shared future, Elena realized that sometimes the greatest love stories began not with fairy tale perfection, but with two people choosing each other despite the obstacles, choosing to fight for their happiness against all odds. Outside, the city hummed with its usual energy, but inside Elena's small apartment, two hearts had found their home in each other, and no amount of gossip or scandal could diminish the power of that truth.